Right, guys, okay. Modern ninjutsu. I can see you throwing tomatoes at the screen. Right, if you've just clicked on this video and you've no idea who I am and why I think you're throwing tomatoes at me, this is why. Basically, my name is Anthony Cummins. I'm a historical researcher and author, and I have been on a 10-year crusade telling everyone that, oh, that's not ninjutsu, that's wrong, this is not ninjutsu, get that right, and telling everyone that ninjas only exist in a historical period. You can't be a ninja today. Ninjutsu only exists in a historical time frame. And here I am saying here, modern ninjutsu. So before I explain that, if you don't want to go any further and you just think, sold, take my money, and you're just like, I want a book on modern ninja tactics, warfare, whatever you want to call it, then the link is gonna be below, and basically here's the picture of the book. Right, okay, for those who want the story behind why I have done a book on modern ninjutsu, sit back, relax. This is going to take a little bit of time to explain, so I'll take you through it. But first of all, the book is actually an analysis, a comparison of old ways and new ways. It's not about modern ninjutsu, meaning this is how, ninjutsu has it become today. This is how it has developed. That's not it. It is a comparison between old special forces techniques in Japan versus modern day covert military operations, if you like. And it analyzes the two and goes through both and shows you basically how cool the ninja were and how professional the modern people are, and showing you that yes, there are many differences between them, but the ninjas overall were extremely professional warrior soldiers. Okay, that's the main purpose of the book. So anybody on the ninjas point of view will be like, whoa, look how cool ninjas actually were when you compare them to the modern day special forces and spies. And then modern day special forces and spy fans can be like, wow, I didn't know the ninja was so cool, and exactly like what we enjoy. So hopefully two branches, two sets of people will come together through this book and be like, okay, I appreciate ninjas, and wow, spies and special forces are extremely well trained. Brilliant. Everyone's happy. So how did this come about? How did the heretic, Mr. History, Mr. No, get to write this book? Well, first of all, let me tell you, it wasn't my idea. I was commissioned to write this book by the publisher, Tuttle, who have been very nice to me. Now, they emailed me and said, Anthony, how are you this morning? And, would you like to write a book for us on modern ninjas, basically? And the actual email said, it was worded very well. I had to read between the lines, but the email said, Anthony, we'd like to write a book on home defense, modern home defense from the way of the ninja. And you are at the top of our list to write it, as pretty much being one of the sort of like top writers, if you like, or the most prolific writers on the ninja and today. So I was like, oh, can you do it, Anthony? So I was put in a serious dilemma, where I genuinely was like sat there thinking for a couple of days, thinking, oh, what am I going to do here? Because no, there is no such thing as modern ninja home defense. That is just ridiculous. That just wouldn't work. We've got much better home defense, A, in the West, and B, in the modern times. My UPVC doors are much better. Ninja never get through them. My UPVC doors are built. The fire brigade can't get through them, and the police can't get through them. I've got two friends who are policemen, and they come and went, you need a special team to get through that door. Like, I know, I bought it so nobody can rob my house. And I spent a lot of money getting it done that way. So my point being is, like, modern techniques are just, old Japanese locks are totally not, worthwhile. We've got shotguns now and things like that. So we're all right. So I was like to the publisher, I said, that's a bit, you're not going to get much out of that. I said, at a stretch, you'll get a 50-page book. I said, it won't stretch far. But my main concern was the fact that they said you're the top of my list. Now, it irks me. It genuinely, somewhere in the world, a fairy dies You know, like when you say, I don't believe in fairies and a fairy will fall dead. The same happens when somebody brings out one of these ridiculous ninja books that has modern ninjas on it, which is what I've just done. But you open it, it's like a guy with a mask on and a balaclava, and they're running around with a truncheon, and they're like, I'm a ninja, and you're like, oh no, somebody shoot that man. And I'll be honest with you, the publisher I'm talking about took quite okay at publishing that. They'll be like, yeah, whatever. So I was like, genuinely like, I cannot let another book about ninjas come out where it's like put your keys in your fists and pour concrete in a torch and carry it, pretend it's a torch, but you hit people with it, or, you know, use a kitchen knife as a shuriken. It was just like, oh no, someone shoot these people. So I thought to myself, if I don't do it, they've got a list of 10 other authors who will do it. But I can't do a book on modern ninja, like home defense. That sounds ridiculous. So I wrote to them and said, I'd be happy to do a book on modern ninjas for you. However, I said it would have to be a comparison between old ways and paramilitary ways. And I said this and modern spying. I said this would be horrible rape, murder, infiltration, killing, gutting, carotid arteries, let's kill everybody, burning people alive, torture, the different syndromes of hostage taking, and all of this. And I made it as horrible as I could possibly sound. And you know what they said? That sounds ace, Anthony. Write that book. So I'm just like, fair enough. So a few days later, I was like, okay, I've got to write a book that compares spies from today and special forces units and whatever, modern military, whatever you want to say, with ninjas. What have I just agreed to? First of all, my fans are going to kill me. Second of all, I'm going to be like, I'm going to write this really horrible book about the, you know, Islamic terrorism and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, they gave me a 50,000 word limit, and they gave me a limit on images because I will ram images. The wonderful Jason Kane will always make amazing images. You should follow him. I'm doing this off memory now, but I think it's at Kane Kong. I'm doing this on an iPad, so I haven't got the editing ability, but follow J Kane at Kane Kong, KaneKong, I think it is. So follow him on Instagram, and he's the guy who does all my stuff. So basically, I can lace it with and he's pretty much my best mate for years and years. So he just happens to be pretty good on a computer, but I still have to beat him with a wet lettuce every night. I'm like, shut up, Kane, you're an idiot. And he just goes, yeah, I know. You can't talk back on this video. So basically, I said to Kane, right, let's do 200 images. So I think we got like a 200 image limitation on it, and I got a 50,000 word limitation. And then I went down the rabbit hole, and I was like, okay, I could do about 4 books on this. I could do about 200,000 words on this. So I asked them if I could go up to 75,000 words, and I started writing 75,000 words, and they were like, no, sorry. They came back a few months later, because that's how publishing worked. They came back and said no. So I had to cut loads of it out, and I had sheets of research done, and I had to cut all that out. So what we're left with is the core of my research, 50,000 words plus about, and 200 odd images, or 150 to 200 images about that, all pretty much put together. So I've had to drop specific things, like for example, I did a really good set of research on religion used in modern warfare. We had like the scopes that were used on rifles that actually had prayers to God or quotes from the Bible. I found loads of stuff like African tribe military, sort of African military things, modern tribal leaders, if you like, and the spirituality they put into the weapons and the spells they use. But I had to ditch a lot of that, which was a shame because it was really interesting. So I had to ditch a bit of the esoteric side of the ninja as well. I kept some of it, but on the whole, we had to keep practical. I have never been a soldier. I have never been to war. I have never been a spy. However, I do come from a military family, so I grew up with my grandfather, who was World War II submariner, right in the middle, right before World War II he joined, and he left well after World War II, and he was around sinking U-boats, sinking junks off in Malacca Straits and things like that, and he did all that. So I grew up learning how to march, learning how to dress off, everything, as a granddad does back in the days before we all went a bit weird in this world. Before everything got a bit less Great Britain and more... What? You know what I mean? I'm like, that's not right. So anyway, my point being is, and then I joined Sea Cadets, which I stayed at for about 20 years, almost, about 18, 19 years. And I was on military bases all the time. I used to go sailing with captains, Royal Navy captains. I've been in helicopters. I've been around. I had Royal Marine friends. I had SBS friends. I used to go up climbing hills with the SBS. Not me, like, forced march. It was them, retired SBS, and with all their war stories. My point being is, I am not new to military speak, military ideas. I've been to many military bases. I've spoken to many military people. But that as a foundation in my life, I understand the vocab. I understand where they're coming from, their mentality. So I have at least that stepping stone into it. After that, the work I've done here with ninjas has, let's just say, attracted some cray-cray people. I've met some strange people. Some of them are fake, some of them are real, but all of them are strange. Absolutely strange. So out of the woodwork crawl spies, assassins, hitmen, if you like, criminals, gangsters, soldiers. I've been approached by so many people. I've been out for meals. As I say, last couple of years, I went out for a meal with some Australian SAS, because they came out, we like what you do, Anthony, I love this book, we'll take out for meals. So I've been out for meals with the Australian SAS and stuff like that. And then I've been out with some random people. Now, what I've had to do there, guys, is totally, and I'll be honest with you, 99% of the people that approach me are fake. It's clearly obvious they're fake. So I have to take a very stringent attitude as to who's real and who's not. And there's a lot of ways, I actually talk about this in the book, is people who claim some things, there's a lot of ways you can find out if they actually do. And you'll find most people have a lot of photograph footage, they'll have video footage, they'll have a knowledge, they'll have people that they can talk to, and all that in these certain dangerous areas. So I picked a handful of people that have been kidnap and rescue specialists. So their job is literally to go into the arse end of Africa and pull a kidnapped person back. South America, things like that. There's people who fight drug traffic control. Now, I'll mention him here is Ed Calderon. Ed, if you do at Ed's Manifesto, I don't talk to him so much at the minute anymore because I've changed projects, but I've talked to Ed loads on there. He's a great guy. He does like anti-drug stuff in South America. He's really a professional chap. So, follow him at Ed's Manifesto. He's a great lad. As I say, I've got ex-gangsters who used to been in and out of prison. So the idea is what I've had to do out of, say, the 100 people, I've pulled it all down to that little one or two people who genuinely have had provable experience, whether it be from prison, Yakuza, whatever you want to call it, mafia, to anti-drug, anti-terrorism, and then to private investigators. So I know a couple of private investigators who work out in America, and they go through their stuff. And then, of course, some kidnap and rescue guys who go out and bring snatch back, basically, and they have to show you how to plan to infiltrate villages and things like that without getting the hostages killed. So I've had to go and visit people like that. And I'll be honest with you guys, 99% are absolutely fakes. They're totally lying. It's easy to find them. So please be aware that the information I've got in this book, absolutely reliable in the sense that I've made sure that people I've got it from are there. But of course, I've done my normal. That's only a part of it. I've done my normal, which is quote all from the primary sources. The Ninja side of it's easy. I've absolutely got all the primary sources on Ninja, no problem. But then what I've done is I've had to go and look at actual proper spying and special forces and make sure I have a good reading list with credited books from proper universities. Of course, I've checked CIA and MI6, MI5 publications, official publications. I've made sure to go along them, and I've backtracked to make sure all the information I'm getting to you is correct. For example, for the hostage taking situations and the syndromes that you get from hostage, like the John Wayne syndrome, Stockholm syndrome, and there's another one I just forgot off the top of my head, but I actually got the manuals that they train people with in Emirates. So you're not allowed to get them out, but I spoke to one of the cabin crew at Emirates, and they allowed me to photocopy sections of that, and was like, okay, that's how we professionally deal with terrorism in the air, that's what we do, this is how we do it. So I've gone through that type of stuff. So basically it's a comparison, not that that's ninjutsu, but the point is that you've got a hostage situation. Now ninjas are forever going out tracking down criminals. It's called criminal capture, and you always get a situation where they're barricaded in a house, and sometimes they have hostages, sometimes they don't. You've got to work and deal with all that. So as you can see, that it's not direct, here's where ninja started and this is where it is today. It's about comparison of ideas, from infiltrating buildings, cracking through gates, defending a home, burning people out, smoking them out, hostages, hostage taking, criminal capture, drug trafficking, or getting through. Basically, drug trafficking is how to get something that's not allowed to go through a border through a border. So if you concentrate on that, you can know a ninja's got to get through a border without being allowed to get through a border. So it's the same thing, or it's comparably comparative, if you know what I mean. So that's where we're going with that. So I hope you're finding that enjoyable, guys. I thought you liked the idea. So it is not another one of those books where you put your keys in your fist and get out your coins and throw it at the enemy and spit on their shoes and polish them while you kill them, you know, with like your fingers in their eyes. It's like none of that rubbish. It's not another one of those where you just randomly put balaclavas on. It's actually a proper comparison, an academic, a first-hand and a primary example comparison. Sorry, I keep looking off screen because the camera's at the random side. A comparison between modern special forces, private investigation, and modern spies, all the way to ninja in the primary documentation that we have got from Japan. That's actual Japanese documentation, translated by native Japanese people, checked by obviously people who have got degrees and qualifications. There you go. Okay, guys, so please do pre-order the book, because I'm talking now at the pre-order stage, but if it's later on, it's out and ready. The link will be below this video at some point. I've got to put it up tomorrow or the day after, but it will be there by the time this video is a couple of weeks old. And apart from that, let me know what you think. So just to be clear, this is not ancient ninjutsu, unbroken line, modern ninjutsu. It's not that. It's ancient ninjutsu compared with modern special forces. How is that gap bridged, and can we identify differences or similarities, things like that. Okay, my name is Anthony Cummins. It's Modern Ninja Warfare by Tuttle, and I'll put the image here again just for you guys. And I hope you enjoy it, and I look forward to seeing the response from people, and I hope there's not too many tomatoes thrown onto the screen at the moment.